teach cooking classes around town, and I actually presented at 1 Million Cups as Bon Appetit way back in the beginning of 1 Million Cups Madison, so it's really great to be back. We also have Vicki of the website Things I Made Today and Sarah from Wisconsin from Scratch, and the three of us together have launched Wisconsin Whisk. We also have our awesome intern Alice here today in the front row taking notes and doing some tweeting for us as well while we're here. We formed Wisconsin Whisk. We started talking about it probably 2 years ago, a year and a half ago almost. The three of us started getting together for lunch just to sort of connect and talk about the work that we were all doing, and decided to do something a little more official. So Wisconsin Whisk is a collective of Wisconsin-based food bloggers. We have 43 members at the moment, most of which are in Madison, but we have members in Milwaukee and Eau Claire and a variety of other places as well. And the point of Wisconsin Whisk is to bring together bloggers for skill sharing so that they can pick up new skills, improve their sites, and just learn from each other, and to create a sense of community, but also to connect bloggers with local producers. So we'll talk a little bit more about what that means and how we're working with local businesses and organizations to help connect them with bloggers as we go through the various elements of the organization. But the reason we think that Whisk is really important is that the world of blogging is changing really quickly. I'm sure a lot of you know that. It's harder and harder to sort of make your name as a food blogger. And so we wanted to help give bloggers new skills. You know, different bloggers may excel in different areas, and they can share their experiences and their skills and experiences with others. And so you have to forgive me, I have a 6-week-old at home, so words may not come to me as readily as they once did. I also may have to duck out a little early today, unfortunately. But so to bring bloggers together to be able to learn from each other, blogging can be really isolating, and one of the things we all love about food is that it brings people together. But when you're just sitting at a computer editing photos and writing recipes and putting it out there into the internet, sometimes it can be hard to get that sense of community that is something we love about food. So one of the things that we're doing is bringing people together not only electronically, virtually, but also physically, to be able to have events where we can all get together and enjoy food together. Bloggers are also often looking for opportunities to connect with local businesses and organizations to showcase their products or their services. Many bloggers end up just doing this because it's something that they enjoy. There have been products that I've featured on my blog because it's just something that I like, and I like being able to support local businesses. And there are national models for things that bloggers can become a member of and then get connected with national, usually big corporate sponsors that will pay to have their services or their products showcased on their site. But we really wanted to do something that was a little bit more localized. And so part of what we do is provide opportunities to connect blogs with maybe more boutique, artisan, handcrafted local producers and businesses to showcase their products and services on bloggers' websites. So with that, we wanted to go through sort of the three different elements that we see in our work that we're doing with Whisk. One is working with our member blogs, one is working with producers, and then one is working with, it's sort of like the miscellaneous category, but all of the other sort of community businesses and organizations that we work with. So we're going to kind of go through one by one and talk about our work in those various areas. Thank you.
So I'm Vicki, and I'm focused on working with our members. So when we originally started the group, we were all kind of dabbling in all of the different areas, and in the last couple of weeks, we've decided to start focusing our efforts a little bit more strategically. So I'm working with our members and being the lead, kind of the face of Whisk for them. So a couple of things that we're offering for our members. The big one that Bowen touched on already is just that community. As she said, people really want to be part of something bigger, and they want to connect with other people who are doing similar things and learn from them. So building that community is a really big aspect of what I'm focusing on. The way we're doing that, there's a couple things. We have member newsletters that we send out that we try to spotlight cool things that are happening in Wisconsin related to food and get people to go to those types of events. We're also scheduling networking events and meetups. So far, they've been focused in Madison just because that's where the majority of our membership is, but we are looking at figuring out how we can get events at some of the other locations where we have little niches of bloggers. Specifically, Milwaukee is the next biggest area. I think we have like maybe 6 or 7 members there, but we're going to need a little bit of help from the people who are part of those communities to help put on events. The other thing we're doing is virtual community building. So one of the events we just held last week, I think we did it, was called All Whisked Up. So what we did is we connected all of our members that wanted to participate with another blog secretly. Nobody knew who they had. You were assigned a blog. You got to read the blog, get to know a little bit about that person by reading their recipes, their story, and then you got to recreate a recipe of your choosing from their blog. And it was a great way to learn a little bit about each other, showcase something really cool that blogger does, and also introduce our readers to that person's blog. So by posting about it, you're sharing readers, you're sharing the message of Whisk and helping people see what's all going on out there in the food blogging world. So that's one of the ways we're building community. Another big thing that we're offering is Skillshare. So we polled a bunch of our members and asked, what are the things that you wish you could get better at? And the top things that came out of that were food photography was the number one thing we heard is people want. A lot of people start off a blog because it's something they really like doing, and they're probably taking photos with their iPhone. I know I was when I first started, and they don't really have any formal photography training. But as your blog grows, photography becomes one of the most important things that helps elevate your blog, and so people really want to learn how to take better photos, how to use DSLR cameras and stuff like that. So we're currently working on a workshop for food photography. Other things we heard was around like WordPress or Squarespace, how to customize sites that to fit recipe or food blogging in general better. So those are some things that we're hoping to do in the future. And as far as I want to also cover who's eligible. So right now, when we launched in August, I believe, the requirements for being a member of Whisk were that you had to have an active food blog, and it could be restaurant review as well as recipes. It could really be anywhere in the food space. So active, and that you were based in Wisconsin. Those were really the only two requirements. And so we have kind of a good scale, and I'll actually jump to our member page real quick. We have a good range of people. So we have some people who really their food blogging is a hobby of theirs, and they, it's something that they're passionate about and that they really enjoy doing. And then we have some people who are making a living off of their food blog. So there's a really wide range of levels of from beginners to more advanced people, and that's great. Further in the future, we might make some more requirements as far as like how often people are posting and maybe a certain level of quality that we're looking for to be a member of Whisk. But for now, we really wanted to make it open to everybody and make sure that we can start growing this community and see who's interested and what we can really do. And also right now, as far as being a member, there is no charge to be a member. In the future, as we want to make sure we offer the members a service before we start charging a membership fee. So for now it's free, but we do in the long term envision some sort of monthly membership fee, whether that's like $10 a month or something relatively inexpensive. We don't, Whisk isn't really for us about making a lot of revenue isn't our top priority. We really want to invest in this community. So while we want to start generating some revenue, it's really in order to keep the organization running. So that's a little bit about what we're.
Okay, sorry. As Bowen kind of mentioned before, a big part of Whisk is building connections between bloggers and local Wisconsin food producers to promote their products on our bloggers' blogs. Blogs tend to be a good channel for these producers just because the markets that they're reaching are a lot of times the markets that the producers are trying to sell to. So, and then the blogs can kind of create like awareness and a demand for these products for these markets that might not already have been seen. So by doing that, we can basically improve the sales for these local producers, which is really cool. The way that we connect the producers and bloggers is we've kind of found that the producers are looking for a couple of things. They want their product featured on blogs that have good traffic and that are reaching a lot of people, and then also blogs that have kind of a good fit for the market that they're trying to promote to. So what we're going to do is have kind of an application-based process for the bloggers. So they'll fill out an application
that kind of has some information on their blog statistics, their social media, and maybe a statement about why they think their blog is a good fit, and then we will provide that information to the producers and they can choose from there. So it's kind of an unbiased way for these producers to kind of look through and say, hey, this blog is a really good fit for my product, and then they can choose a blogger to showcase their product that way. How we're recruiting producers, so it's been kind of cool. We've already had a few reach out to us already, which is really awesome. And from there, I think what we're going to do is both start by reaching out to producers that we kind of have connections with already as just a starting point. And then also we've been talking to our blogger members about producers that they're really interested in working with, so, and reaching out to them as well, which I think is really important, especially in areas outside of Madison where we may not be as aware of some of the producers that are there, but bloggers that are in those areas might be interested in working with them. So getting some feedback from members is really useful for that. And then probably long term we'll be doing more things like going to like food events and farmers markets and stuff and directly talking to producers there to try to promote this. And we're in the process of making kind of like a media kit basically to hand out to them that kind of showcases what we have to offer and kind of like the niche markets and range of some of our blogger members, as well as some of the locations that they're located in, so that they can kind of get a sense of what we have available to help promote their products. As far as a revenue model for all of this, the blog posts themselves obviously take a lot of time and effort, so we want to help the bloggers make some income off of this because it will help improve the quality of their blogs, which will improve readership and overall will help to showcase more producers' products, so it's kind of beneficial for everyone. So we're asking for a fee to be paid per blog post by the producer, and we're still kind of figuring out the exact numbers on that. It's going to be kind of like a two-tier system where one tier would be like a blog post that just kind of talks about the product, and another would be a blog post that features recipe development involving the product and probably rights to the photography as well. And the other thing that's really important is we want to make sure that the fees we charge are not so high that they exclude a lot of like smaller businesses. We don't want to, say, oh, you're small, you're just starting out, so you can't afford this. So I think there's going to be some kind of discounts available for smaller businesses so that they can participate in this as well. And then the way it would work is that they would pay the money directly to Whisk, and we would take 10% just for the business of Whisk, and then the rest would go directly to the blogger. So, yeah.
So we realized in starting to talk through a lot of these things that there were a lot of other sorts of partners that might want to work with Whisk member blogs as well. There might be restaurants who are interested in restaurant reviews, but that doesn't fit quite into the model we had for connecting producers with blogs. So we decided to put this all in what we're calling the community aspect of the work that we're doing, which could include other sorts of businesses other than food producers. It could be restaurants, it could be stores, maybe some of the kitchen supply stores in town or in various places across Wisconsin. It could also be books, if there's a local book that's being produced about Wisconsin food or by a Wisconsin publisher that has to do with food. It could be something like that. And events. And that's actually one of the things that we've seen great success with so far, is that some of the events in town are interested in partnering with us, whether it's just us being at that event or actually sort of recruiting participation from some of our member blogs. So it was the vegan chili cook-off. I can't remember what the exact name of that event is, but they asked us to see if any of our member bloggers would be interested in being a judge for that event. So there have been some other events that have reached out to us to see if there's something that we might want to participate in, or perhaps discounted or free tickets in exchange for our member blogs, tweeting about it or writing it on Facebook or writing a blog post about it or something like that. So there's a lot of opportunities for different people to be partnered with Whisk, and that all fits into the community element of what we're doing. In terms of the revenue model for that, we're really seeing that as kind of a case-by-case situation, because there's so many different types of businesses and events, and maybe it's just something like discounted or free tickets to an event, where something like a really well-established store or restaurant in town, there may be some revenue expectations there, or free meal in exchange for the blogger writing about it, or whatever that is. We're going to kind of take that on a case-by-case situation. Another big element here too that we're really excited about is partnering with different media in Wisconsin. So whether that's Whisk getting a monthly recipe column in a publication, or being somebody who's sort of on call to help with Christmas cookie bake-offs in the holidays or something like that. So what kind of opportunities can we have to partner with media across Wisconsin to provide content or to connect them with our bloggers that may be experts in various types of cooking or in various ingredients or types of recipes, particularly ones that are about Wisconsin, Wisconsin traditional recipes and ingredients and things like that. So that's kind of a catch-all category, but we're really excited about some of those opportunities to connect with different things happening around town.
Great. Sorry. And then we want to talk real quick about long-term vision. So one of the things we mentioned was, we started this about 2 months ago. We're kind of letting things grow organically. We want to see where the interest lies. So we really want to make sure we're serving our members. So what members want is really where we want to focus. Where right now that's been some of those networking and Skillshare events, starting to reach out to producers, and then starting to work with some media partners. So we're really focusing in on making sure we're meeting those needs, and then starting to look a little bit longer term. And start planning for those type of activities. So as Sarah mentioned, I think the producers is going to be the big one. We're trying to probably do a couple case studies with people that we've already started talking to, who we have personal connections with, see how those work, see how that relationship that we facilitate between the bloggers and the producers works, and then tweak that model before we start reaching out to some of the other groups that people want to work with. And then I think the other big kind of long-term vision is on the media partner side, is seeing who's interested in either sponsoring or just featuring us from a media perspective. And I think there's a lot of mutually beneficial relationships that we can form there, because everybody likes food, and so writing about food is something that I think everybody can get, or reading about food is something that everybody can get behind. It is pretty difficult to find content in that area that's original, so I think that's definitely something that our members provide. Really high level, the thing that we really see Whisk doing is, if we can improve, if by building this community we can improve the quality of the blogs of our members, then that helps improve our reach, so more people are reading it. If we're sponsoring, or if we're featuring products on these blogs that are really high quality, then that helps the producers of the products, obviously, because the word is out about them and that they have a wider audience. And really, in the end, if we can sell more of those Wisconsin-based products, that's helping to grow the local food community. So that's kind of like the high level vision of what we want to accomplish with Whisk. Did I miss anything?
No, I think that's good.
Great. So there were a couple things that we wanted input on, and I think Sarah,
Yeah, so if anyone has any ideas that would be helpful, one of the things that we're looking for is kind of ideas of new services that we could provide in this same vein. Also, some questions about the revenue model, especially I think with the producers, just kind of how to figure that out, so we're not excluding like smaller businesses, but kind of the best way to go about doing that, rather than, if there's a good way to set that up, or if we need to just approach it on like a case-by-case basis. And then also just kind of about how to go about building media relationships and partnerships, and what we can offer in those. So if anyone has any input on any of those things, we would really appreciate it.
Or any other questions as well.
Yeah.
Directly answers like any of the areas, but one idea I had, you were talking about sort of like how to connect people for like Skillshare, and to kind of get members to help each other with things they need help with. One cool thing that I was exposed to that might be just like a way to structure that is called a favor economy. I've been a part of that before, and basically what you do is you set up like 3 offers, so things you're offering to the community, like I can train people in this, I could spend a day with you doing this, and I can this, and then and there's another set of like requests, so you get to do 3 offers, 3 requests, and you just have a place to put those, and then members just start like kind of matching up of like, oh, somebody's offering this and I need it, and you just kind of sign up for a meeting with them, the other way around. So that's a really cool way I've seen, kind of like these, where you have members kind of all over the place, sort of connect the dots of like who's offering what and who needs what. So that's just an idea on that front. I would love to know if you guys have had success with other sort of like structures for like facilitating collaboration, cooperation, that kind of stuff.
We haven't used any real formal collaborative structures at this point. I mean, we have a Facebook group, which hasn't been super active yet, but we're hoping to really get that going, but that's pretty kind of informal. But I just want to say I think that's a really great idea that you brought up. And another thing on that note is that we're also interested in other types of businesses and organizations around town that may have skills that they can teach our members as well. So in terms of doing a food photography workshop, the photography store in Madison, would they be interested in providing a workshop that is relevant to food photography, and maybe our members pay a small fee, but then they also get exposed to that business and the products and lighting setups and things that they have there. So within our group, we know that there's skills to be shared, but then we also know that outside of our group, there may be people who are interested in connecting with that community as well. So that could be a really good idea for how we make those connections.
I'm just curious logistically, if someone goes to your website and they find a blogger, you just connected, they went from your website to a blogger. But now if I come across one of these bloggers myself, how do I get connected back up to the Wisconsin Whisk?
Yeah, great question. So we, of course, ask our members to help promote Whisk. So they have badges on their site on the sidebar. So that's one way. And then also through blog swaps and other things that we've talked about. So like the event I mentioned we did last week where we all swapped blogs and cooked something off of each other's blog. That's an opportunity for people to talk about Whisk as well and say, hey, I'm part of this group. Here's, let me spotlight a member that's from that group, and that helps link back to the greater Whisk group as well.
That's the other thing was for an idea, why not on the main website have a featured blogger of like the week? Because that way they would almost feel like, because when you're the featured blogger of the week, you definitely have this like good feeling to yourself.
Sure. Yeah. So a couple things I forgot to mention is we do kind of do the featured blogger of the week. So we actually feature a recipe, not necessarily a blog. So we just started this. I believe we're on our second week, and Alice is actually managing this. So she's pulling recipes that are seasonally appropriate from member blogs and featuring them. And then we're all sharing that as well. And then we also have on Instagram hashtag Wisconsin Whisk that's helping spread that as well. And so we're sharing either our own stuff with that hashtag, other people's stuff with that hashtag, and that helps spread as well. Great point.
So I'd just like to touch on the suggestion by this gentleman. We're developing a platform that does exactly this. I believe in the gift economy, the sharing economy. I haven't heard it termed the favor economy, but there's some cool branding there, right? You could call it the flavor favors or the savor favors or something fun like that, right?
Sure.
But what about also like events where you get people to come, like you have a featured like recipe and like get people actually connected in the real space, then tell their story, and then have like a piece that is a multimedia collection of each attendee's perception of the event, so you can share in space in real time and savor the flavor or something.
There's lots of good puns. We can.
Like, how come not Wisconsin?
It was supposed to be subtle.
So I think the coolest part about what you guys do is kind of aggregate and bring together all of the stuff around this area in Madison and in Wisconsin. And as a user of your website, I would expect to get that right when I land there. And so a bit of feedback on that is this page is kind of buried in there. And this is a really cool aggregation of some of the best stuff from the blogs for the week. Additionally, the members page, the current blog members, is one of the most interesting parts because you could see all of the different diversity in it, and you kind of have to dig to find it. The sort of front page is really a call to action to bring more people in for some of the business opportunities, which is definitely important, but I feel like most people visiting your website will just want to see the aggregation of all the content, because content is so difficult, and I think as a content aggregator you should really lead with it.
That's great feedback.
Thank you.
This may be a little craven sounding compared to like the favor economy, but maybe an angle with the media relations and the producer relationships is to embrace the fact that you're kind of a new way of advertising. And I mean, sure, there's this confluence of like journalism and advertising when it comes to blogging, but I mean, once you get into the you give me a free meal and I review it, then it's not really journalism anymore. But I mean, this is like a whole new gateway for, kind of subtle, like the advertising is already there because it's products that you already use, and how can you use them differently? So I think it's great.
Thank you.
Just one really quick thought related to what Nico said. On the front page, I had a vision of kind of like they have at Gray's, where you can see or some of those places where you can see the map of where everything comes from. So if you guys are looking at that, maybe a map of Wisconsin and all of your touch points.
Yeah, so our member blog page, when we started, we were like, it's the three of us and we have 3 new members. This is great. But it's obviously been growing. And so one of the things is how we set this up. There's a lot of work that I want to do with being able to filter down by city, by some other stuff that just we don't have we just haven't had a chance to work on the technology yet. So we did add the city, which was, I think, a big one. But there's some other things that I want to make sure are like by city, by maybe, so we've got like a vegan baking blog. We've got all these like family oriented blogs. I want to have people be able to filter down by categories like that. It just hasn't happened yet.
This will be our last question. There'll be time afterward to come and talk to them in person if you want to.
Thank you. I have an idea and a question is that, when my son's with me on the ride home, I get that question, what's for dinner tonight? So for me, it'd be nice if maybe every day I get an idea sent to my phone of what I can make in 15 minutes or less that's healthy. And then the question is that when you host these events, what is the ultimate goal of these events that you're looking to achieve?
Which events specifically?
The events that you spoke about, getting the producers together, maybe some restaurants.
Yeah, I think there's a bunch of different types of events. Some are really the member-focused ones that, are really just to help build our community, but I don't know if you guys want to speak to some of the other types of events.
Sure. I mean, I think it really just depends on the type of event that we're doing, but we do have, ideas to do pretty regular events where we're bringing together our members and various producers that just want to meet people who are interested in using their products. I mean, it's an opportunity for, maybe a local jam producer to come and say, like, hey, have you tried our products? Or how do you use them? Are you using them? And so a chance for them to talk to, foodies in town, but also to be able to hear people's stories and just get a sense of kind of what the community is like. One of the things that we've struggled with a little bit is this sense that any producer could just go to our website and look at the members and say, hey, I'm going to talk to Amanda's Cookin' and see if she just wants to talk about my product on their site instead of going through Whisk. And so that's not really something, and again, at these events, that jam company could go up to Amanda and say, hey, you want to feature my product, instead of going through our organization. But we feel like that's just kind of a necessary evil of how this is set up, because there's not really a great way to avoid that. But we're still, like Vicki said, profit is not the main goal here. The main goal is to be bringing people together and to help foster this community of people that feel a little bit isolated and spread out. And so really the main goal of any event that we have is just to bring people together to meet and talk and kind of see what's going on out there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much to Vicki, Bowen, and Sarah. Enjoyed hearing about Wisconsin Whisk. You guys always make me really hungry. There's a little bit of time if you have some questions, so come introduce yourself and ask your question. Thanks again to Nordic and to Field 59, and for all of you for coming this morning. See you next week.